this crazy entitled mum decides to call the police on another parent, all because their children wouldn't play with her precious angel. What crazy events unfold, and will justice be given to this entitled parent? Happy birthday, today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. This happened about 12 years ago. I had just moved to a small town. My 10-year-old daughter made friends with a girl down the block. The girl didn't have many friends because her mum was drama, and nobody in the neighborhood wanted to deal with her. I didn't want to punish the EM's daughter for her mum's behavior, and our daughters were as thick as thieves in no time. About 6 months later, my daughter comes home from their house crying, apparently over an argument over who got to play with what Barbie. The other girl called my daughter an N-word. My daughter became quite visibly upset. The girl told my daughter something to the effect of, "It's not a bad thing. It's just what my mom says you and your mom are, when you act like you are better than us. Just stop acting better and you won't be an N-word." The EM called pretty quickly to apologize for her daughter, talking out of turn and sharing personal family conversations. I explained to her that I was okay with the girls still being friends as long as the four of us could have a sit down and just kinda talk through why that word would be so hurtful to my kid. She agreed but made comments that made me feel she thought I was overreacting. At the end of our conversation, I made it very clear our daughters would not be around each other until the sit down happened. EM snaps. "This is what's wrong with you people, always playing the race card and making a mountain out of a molehill. You aren't going to punish my daughter because you can't get over yourself." I hung up and that was the end. Or so I thought. 1 month later, my daughter is at the park down the street from our house with the neighbor and her kids. I'm cleaning my house when I got a phone call from the neighbor. Entitled Mum EM, me, and neighbor, police officer PO, commanding officer CO. "OMG, EM is here. She is screaming that the kids can't ignore her kid at a public place. By law, they have to play with her daughter. I'm packing up and coming back. Just letting you know that this bee is acting nuts. You need me to come?" "Nah, I'm ignoring her. We'll be home in a sec." 2 minutes later, I get another call and can hear screaming in the background. "You won't freaking believe this. She called the police on your daughter. The cops are here. You need to get down here." I arrive and my daughter is shaking and crying, thinking she has done something wrong. EM is screaming like a madwoman at the top of her lungs about how my daughter being in a public place means she has to play with her daughter. "So what are you going to do about this? Are you seriously just going to let this girl stay at the park when she is refusing to play with my daughter?" "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but as I was saying, there is no law that kids have to play with each other in public parks. If she doesn't want to play with your daughter, she doesn't have to." EM grabs at the walkie-talkie thing on the cop's shoulder. "I want to speak to your sergeant or commanding officer or whatever. Someone needs to come do their freaking job." The officer calls his commanding officer. I was stunned. I asked if my daughter could sit in my car as she was visibly shaken. He said she could, which of course sent EM on another rant. The CO pulls up as she is screaming about how my daughter needs to get out of the car and play with her child. CO comes and the officer is trying to explain to him what's going on as she is screaming a foot away. He comes over to me and I tell him the backstory on how this all started. The CO to me. "At this point, I don't see a reason for you to still have to be here. You can take your daughter home." EM turning bright red. "This is why they're like this. Nobody holds them accountable for anything they do. She should at least get a ticket or something." I don't know what all was said after that. Me, the neighbor, and our kids got out of there quick. I did start looking for an apartment right away and found something 2 months later. While I was packing, I got a call from EM. I let it go to voicemail. "I hear you're moving. I just wanted you to know if you or any of your kids walk by my house before then, I'm calling the police for harassment. I don't care if it's James." My son that was 2 at the time. "And I can't wait to hear that stupid crap you have to say about this when you call me back." I'm not gonna lie, I was tempted to call back, but didn't. We moved a week later, thankfully. It kinda sucks that if you've got crappy neighbors, pretty much the only thing you can do is either ignore them or move to another neighborhood. Isn't there some way that we can organize this that all the crappy neighbors live in the same neighborhood? So they can just be crappy neighbors towards each other? Yeah, that would be sweet. Okay, so with how the virus has most of us staying at home, I was doing some spring cleaning and found an old laser tag scorecard, which reminded me of the entitled brat and his equally entitled mom. The Good, all names changed to our name we had on the scorecard. Maverick, yours truly. Deadeye, a close friend of mine. Paladin, the birthday kid. Ace, Cyborg and Samurai, my bros. Not literally, you know what I mean. The Bad. They swapped gear around, so no consistent names. Bully 1, 2 and 3, B123. Bully friend of the EK. Mostly just eggs him on and joins in his taunting. The Entitled. EK, the Entitled Kid. Take your average mic spamming kid you'd find on any FPS and raise the annoyance to nails on chalkboard levels. Then you have him. EM, the entitled mother of the annoying brat. Background. Back when I did Taekwondo, my mum met Paladin's mum and they got to doing what mums do best. Talk about how their kids are doing in school, what their kids' hobbies are, the usual. Later down the lines, Paladin's mum brought up how Paladin was struggling with math, algebra, and how she was trying to find a tutor. My mum offered to have me tutor him, since at that time I was in honours in math, though my handwriting was less than readable, even by me reading my notes not even 10 minutes after writing them. So for the next few months I'd tutor Paladin, helping him take a C and turn it into a solid A, 90 if I remember correctly. After he passed that year with all A's, math was the only subject he really struggled with, Paladin's folks decided to reward his straight A's by taking him to a laser tag arena for his birthday. The guest contained a variety of friends he made at school and doing Taekwondo. I was invited as thanks for tutoring him. Fast forward to the day of the party, we're all slowly trickling in. The place has decent selection of arcade games. One of those giant tube mazes like you'd see at a McDonald's, just a bit smaller. A few party rooms and some regular tables in a dining area. Entering the party room, I drop off my present and sit down to see some of the current game of laser tag going on. Getting a good look at the area. It's almost symmetrical. Bases are on opposite sides. There's a bit of high ground, which is just the outline of a rectangle over the main area, with stairs near the bases. So as we wait for our drinks and friends to arrive, Paladin, Deadeye, and I go off to play a few games. After about 15 to 20 minutes of it, our party is being called to the arena. Our party versus the EK's party. And we're all suiting up. EK and bullies 1 to 3 begin their smack talk. Mostly the usual, "You idiots ready to lose?" and other childish banter. I look over to Deadeye and say something to the extent of, "I'ma beat them," only to get an eye roll and a "grow up, Maverick." That's when the EK notices our team has a few girls. "Oh, they got girls on their team? This'll be easier than I thought. They probably don't even know how to aim," says the EK with his bullies 1 to 3, laughing with him. Deadeye looks back to me and says, "So you keep him busy, I shoot." I tell her, no, we should be mature and take the high ground. Wink wink, nudge nudge. I then tell her about the second floor and the vantage points it provides. Round 1. Game starts and we take the high ground. Cyborg, Ace, and Samurai head there too. From the second floor of the arena, we got a good vantage point to hit just about anyone below us. Ace tells Cyborg to watch his back as he goes to shoot up the enemy base, leaving the 4 of us up top side to shoot down the enemy. Deadeye and Spot the EK. Wasn't too hard to do since he won't shut up with his trash talk. We both shoot. She got him. I get B2 and B3, she gets B1. We then decided to pitch a tent, roast some marshmallows, gather around the bonfire and begin spawn camping. When you get tagged, your suit glows white, as opposed to red or blue, and your gun tells you who you shot and where on the person you were shot. From there you have a 5 to 10 second respawn timer. Now I don't condone spawn camping, but given how EK acts, it sure felt good. Towards the end of this match we were counting down those seconds and racing to see which one of us can shoot him, as well as anyone else we saw from our nice campsite. The game ends. We won. EK is salty about his loss. The end, right? Well, if it was, this would be on Entitled People and not Entitled Parents now, wouldn't it? So we return to our party room and overhear the EK whining to his party about how Maverick and Deadeye kept killing me, and how he didn't even get to play that much. We chuckle to ourselves and enjoy our victory pizza, and hear EM console him and say something to the extent of, point out if we're against them again, and I'll join in to take care of them. Scorecards come in. Number 1 Deadeye, number 2 Maverick, number 3 Ace. Deadeye and I were about 2 or 3 tags apart. She lightly teases me about being a bit too slow. We laugh, party jokes about it with one of my favorites being, next time you should make some more s'mores. Next game is against some random team. We don't go all out on them, but we still manage a win. Cake and presents next. Good chocolate chip cookies cake. Paladin's mum makes a darn good cake. After cake and presents, we have quite a bit of time before our final game starts, so back to the arcade. So 30 to 45 minutes and a few high scores later, it's time for the final match of our party, against EK's party once more. As we're getting ready and EK realizes it's us, he tells his mum, "This is the same party that kept spawn camping me." To which the whale starts to raise a bit of heck about it. After some back and forth with staff, she was eventually allowed to join her son's team, even though they already had one more person than us. As we're about to enter, I look over to Deadeye with a smirk on my face and loudly say, "Same plan as before, Deadeye?" "Of course, Maverick, only this time, we go for the base." We used our nicknames intentionally and spoke loud enough for the EK and EM to hear us. That look of anger in their eyes was all the confirmation we needed to know they'd focus on us. Round 2, game starts. Deadeye and I storm their base. Paladin and the bros take the high ground. They overheard us. Instead of shooting at their base, we move to another nice little vantage point near their base and wait a bit. Sure enough, EK bullies 1 to 3 and EM shows up, but don't see us just yet. Nailed them in an ambush, then we leg it. EK's shouting something like, "There they are, get them!" They chase us, but lose us and fall right into Paladin's trap. Ace and Cyborg go down to shoot up their base as Deadeye takes to the high ground. I circle around and take pot shots at them to just further throw fuel on the fire. They continue to chase me with 1 or 2 tags on me, but their antics get some more of EK's team to join the chase, only for Deadeye to nab a few more tags. I eventually slip away and swap out with Deadeye, who keeps them busy. Ace and Cyborg retreat back to the high ground as the enemy had begun to catch on. The EKs had been tagged at least 20 times at this point. I slip away from the high ground and go for their base. As I'm making my way there, I see Jabba the Hutt, the EM, who has run out of breath and is a sitting duck. Hey, free target practice. Samurai is on the stairs near their base and found a good angle to shoot their base from. I join up with Samurai at that vantage point and begin shooting at their base as well. Finally, game's over. We won! Most of the enemies were roped into hunting down me and Deadeye. The EK was complaining about how it wasn't fair and whining. His mother was raising a big stink about how we were playing dirty and must have cheated, but both were shut down by the referee in charge of the match when he said, "You had 2 more people than them, and even with the numbers advantage, still lost because you had almost everyone going after 2 people. Of course you'd lose, nobody was even going for the blue team's base. They were all going off to help you go after 2 people." They left muttering something about how it was still unfair and we still managed to spawn camp them, and how EK's team should have won. Afterwards we got our scorecards back. Number 1 Maverick, number 2 Deadeye, number 3 Paladin. Deadeye and I were only 1 tag apart. Taking that pot shot at EM won me first place on our team. From there we all played a few games before our folks showed up and picked us up one by one, with me and Deadeye getting a few angry glares from the entitled party as we played some House of the Dead, while referring to each other by our nicknames. Laser tag can be heaps of fun, but I don't know why it is that every time you go, there's always some kind of bratty kid. It's just the sort of game that seems to draw in entitled families. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the chance of winning and defeating other people, and somehow that makes them feel entitled, like they're the one who's always supposed to win. They're probably the type of kid that when they play a board game with a neighbor, their parent always makes them win by cheating somehow. Well, that doesn't always work in the real world. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.